Mr. James Ali. Hey, we're live. EJ Boxer live with Mr. James Ali Bashir, the boxing pugilist. Long time, my friend. How you been?
I'm okay. Everything's all right.
That's good to hear, man. Obviously, you saw the fight on the weekend. What's your take?
Well, it's just, Povetkin is an old guy, but he still has a memory bank, and he used a memory bank in his toughness to win the fight. I would have thought that Dillian would win the fight, even if it was, by now margin. I figured that Dillian would win the fight by boxing, But Povetkin is a well-schooled guy, and as it turns out, he's the victor.
Yeah, definitely the victor. But do you see? So what? Let's go back a bit, right? So you're in the corner. You're in the corner now, right? So this is you. I want to hear you. You've knocked Povetkin down twice in the 4th round. What will the information be going forward into the 5th round? Because I'll tell you what, when Dillian Whyte came out the 5th round, he touched gloves with Povetkin, and you know what happened then. So tell us what you would say in the corner, in that situation. If you knocked your fighter's knocked down, what would you say?
There are two schools of thought. Vladimir Klitschko knocked Anthony Joshua down.
Yes.
Most people thought that Vladimir should have jumped on
Anthony Joshua.
Anthony. He should have jumped on him and tried to finish him. My thinking in that case, yeah, he should have jumped on him and tried to finish him, because the only one that could benefit from somebody taking their time and laying off was the younger guy. Vladimir was much older than Anthony. So, yeah, and plus Anthony didn't have that kind of experience to get out of trouble. So, yeah, I think that Vladimir should have jumped on Anthony at the beginning of the next round. He should have finished that round strong and jumped on him with all guns blazing in the very next round. But instead, he took some time off, and we all know now that Anthony collected himself, came back, and got the job done.
Mm-hmm.
In Dillian's case, I think that Povetkin didn't seem very shaken up when he had gone down. Anthony Joshua, when he got up, he was shaky, But most people that was observing, and I didn't think that Povetkin was out of it when he got up. He still was able, he still was capable. So my instructions to Dillian Whyte at that time was to get behind a constant jab and mix his feints with his jab, try to disrupt the rhythm of
Povetkin.
Povetkin.
Yeah.
Try to disrupt the rhythm, and then try to land big shots again. But certainly, I would have instructed him to jump on him with a jab, not gung-ho, not just going out there throwing caution to the wind. Go out there and control the next round with a jab and tweak and land big shots again.
Let me ask you a question. So, when the mindset of when you're fighting a shorter guy is not to fight them inside. Lennox.
Well, he's not that much shorter, though. He's not that much shorter than Dillian.
I think Dillian's considerably taller than him, but I think Dillian fights with a wide start, so he makes himself seem like he's around not too far. Povetkin. I think Povetkin was wearing shoes to make himself look taller. I didn't. You know that trick, right? Because I saw them at the weigh, and I was like, how come he looks around the same height? I know he ain't the same height, but in the ring, you could see he was considerably taller. It was a bit where he's quite a bit taller than him, and he definitely got the reach of. He's definitely got the long arms again. I mean, that made a difference. His arms are long, man. Dillian's arms are long, but he don't really, put his weight in between the shots. But what I'm saying, the mindset, and you see, I mean, you was around Lennox Lewis when he's fight Mike Tyson, shorter guys. You know how he bullies them. He don't let when they come in close, he ties them up immediately. Dillian threw a right hand, and that allowed Povetkin to roll under and to throw the left hook underneath. What's the flaws you feel as the coaches, the game plan? Did the coaches get it wrong, or does Dillian making an error? Lack of experience, because he has Povetkin's a medalist, and
I'd have to watch it a few more times. I watched it originally, and then I watched it a couple of more times. But I really have to observe. But it seems that Dillian had a lackadaisical attitude. He didn't seem
switched on,
alert.
Yeah,
he didn't seem alert.
Yeah,
he didn't seem crispy and alert.
Mm-hmm.
He was there, and certainly, and no one expected for Povetkin to throw a left lead uppercut.
Yeah,
it's a very rare punch. It's a very rare punch, and he slipped it in right between the guard.
Yeah, split the guard. Yeah, split. Dillian had that high guard, and that he had it to hold the fight, like a ball. He was tightened up as a ball. He was rolling on he was rolling on these Povetkin's hooks, which I felt was strange because he was tall. That's it's shocking though, isn't it? Were you shocked?
Yeah, I was. But I was taken aback. It was a very shocking punch. He slid it in right between the guards, and Dillian wasn't even expecting that punch. Nobody was. And because he was so relaxed in there, the punch put him out.
Okay, all right. So going forward, what does Dillian need to do? Apparently, they're going to take the rematch in December. Would you take the rematch in December first and foremost, or was it too soon?
In December?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'd wait until next year. I'd pass up any rematch talk and collect himself, because he just had a breakup with the trainer.
Mark Tibbs, yeah.
So he needs to go back to the drawing board and collect himself. I know, today's fighter is just so difficult to work with, because everybody thinks that they're experts, especially if they're the top 10 or the top 5. You can't tell them nothing. So they think that they can just, they think that they know the situation that they're in, and that they don't need trainers. So they just bring in anybody. And this is not a slight to the guy that, who was it, Dave Caldwell? Was it Caldwell?
Nah, he wasn't. He just brought in, it was Xavier Miller was the main guy. I talked to him earlier. Xavier Miller, yeah. Dave Caldwell came in like late.
Well, whoever. It's not to slight any of the guys that's in boxing. Everybody's trying to work. Everybody's trying to make a name for themselves. Everybody's trying to make a living. But that does not negate the fact that today's coaches and trainers, they don't pay their dues, man. They work with an amateur 2 or 3 years, and next thing you know, they're in the top professional corner. They can't possibly be able to give the boxer valuable knowledge of what they're doing in tight spots. In a tight situation. You got a man knocked down twice in the same round, so now you got to have a specific instruction to try to get the guy out of there. A lot of times the trainers, the coaches don't have the knowledge because they simply have not been there. It's just like trying to make somebody into a physician with a 3-year course. It just doesn't happen like that. So a lot of these guys are taking on less than formidable coaches and trainers, thinking that they know enough to get by. All I got to do is pay this guy nickels and dimes, and I can get the same benefit of having a top trainer. No, you can't. And that was the result of last night.
Yeah,
I would have.
Go ahead.
Yes, because everybody knows that a wounded animal is the most dangerous animal.
Yes. Yep.
Povetkin's been down twice.
Mm-hmm.
So my application in the corner would be, okay, stay alert and get behind and jab.
That's what he said.
Off balance.
That's what was said. That's what was said in the corner. They said he's still dangerous now. They should go back to the jab and keep jabbing him. Go on, continue.
Oh yeah, well that was a good instruction.
Yeah, but that's what was said. But I talked to the coach and he said he's not going to change anything in the rematch. But I said to him, I understand that, but when I talked for Jonathan Banks, he was saying that Povetkin makes in-ring adjustments. So even if you hurt him, he ain't gonna be the same guy. And I also pointed out that Povetkin, you know, he walked straight past. Dillian didn't even throw his jab out. He just walked straight up to move his head, and he was in range. If Dillian would have tied him up, then he wouldn't have got that uppercut or anything because he could keep him up. I mean, if you're the taller guy, you keep the man on the outside.
It just seems to me a guy with the experience of a Dillian Whyte just couldn't get caught with a combination like that. Povetkin seemed to have stuck out a half-hearted jab, then slipped over to the left side and dug a left uppercut.
Yeah.
It looked like he threw a half-hearted jab, like just to get Dillian's attention on the jab, and then he dipped to the left side and threw a left uppercut. You know, but I'm thinking that he should have been a bit more alert, a bit more sharper. You can't come out your feints to start, you know, using your feints a little bit, double your jab, triple your jab, and giving them angles. Dillian seemed to be, you know, too laid back. You know, he got hit. He got tagged, you know, because he was standing in one spot. He just got tagged. He got caught with a clean shot, and then put him out.
Yeah, it's really bad. So you definitely wouldn't take the rematch. What would you then, if this is you now, so you haven't taken the rematch, then what would you do with him? Rest him out for it? Because I talked to Jonathan Banks just a second ago, and he said he wouldn't take the rematch. He'd have Dillian sit out for a bit, let him enjoy his life a bit, and then come back, and then come back again. But he wouldn't. He'll have him fight someone else, but he wouldn't put him in there in that situation, because he feels like, you know, you got to look after the man. The fighter always wants to fight. It's the people around him need to look after him. But he seems like Dillian's calling all the shots. He told the trainer I want a rematch, and he wants the rematch.
To show you my thinking, I didn't even know you spoke to Jonathan Banks.
Yeah, just a second.
And you see that Jonathan Banks' assessment and my assessment was virtually the same.
Absolutely the same, bro. I'm a title. No.
I had no idea that you had spoken to Jonathan Banks, and he said. Now you told me after I told you so. You said he said the same thing.
Exactly, he said exactly the same thing. And he also said that when he was hurt like that, he should have jumped on him. He goes, "I'm been Emmanuel Stewart," and that he goes. We mentioned the Mike Tyson situation when he was fighting Lennox Lewis. And Lennox Lewis, he was like, "What the hell you got this man in for? You don't get staying there longer. You're gonna get caught with something, man. Stop messing around. Just get this man out of here." You know what I mean? He kept Lennox Lewis the business. You know, and I was thinking the same thing, man. I was like, "Yo, you know what I'm saying? You got this guy too. Don't be good. You better go on." You know what I'm saying? Like you got him now. He's ready to be taken, and then he came out and Dillian touched his gloves, man. I mean, that's not what you just said. There's, that's the same thing you just said. He want the mindset of being switched on. What we say in the UK, switched on or alert.
I don't think that after the second knockdown that Dillian had a lot of time to jump on Povetkin.
Well, you know what? When I mean jump on, like behind the jab, and this,
right. But after the second knockdown, he didn't have. There wasn't a lot of time to jump on him.
No, you're right, because the bell went. You're right, the bell went. But what I'm saying is that the mindset is that you're coming up next round. This guy, you've knocked this guy down. The corner. In fact, they were saying in Russian that if you get caught at that, we're gonna throw the towel in. They were actually thinking of throwing the towel in. So they gave Povetkin the last riot act. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's why he came out like that. Boom, boom, and uppercut. So what I'm saying, in the corner of the other side, was more just take your time. And I'm saying, this guy, you have to understand this guy's gonna come for you. You know, you have to understand. You've embarrassed him. You're trying to stand there and break this guy. He's not gonna let you break him down. He's gonna come for you.
Yeah, I had him. You know, Dillian walked. He was just too lackadaisical. He wasn't sharp. He wasn't bouncing. He wasn't saying. You know, he wasn't sending any signals or messages to Povetkin that I'm ready for anything that you're gonna do. He was just too cool and calm coming out. And Povetkin, as I said, took his left hand, put it in front of him like he was on a jab, just enough to distract Dillian. He dipped over to the left side and turned the left uppercut, and Dillian was not looking for that punch coming from that angle.
100%. Listen, let me bring another thing with you. I remember I mentioned this about the legend killer, right? So you're in Vladimir's corner, you, Jonathan Banks, and I don't know who else was there. And you're going against Brian Jennings, and you was irate. Now I didn't really get at the time, but I remember what you said.
No. I was never there. I was never in Jennings in the Jennings corner. I never worked.
No, you was in Vladimir's corner. Yeah, you was in Vladimir's corner, right?
Oh, no. I was in Vladimir's corner. It was Vitaly and Jonathan Banks and the cut man.
Okay,
I never worked in the corner.
All right, so
I never worked in the corner.
Yeah, that's all right. But I remember what you said though. You was very irate that he didn't get him out of it. Yeah, you was irate
because I thought.
Yeah, go on.
Because I thought that they showed Jennings too much respect.
There you go. And this is what my point is. This is how you become.
Jennings, even though every heavyweight can help hurt you, but Jennings wasn't that kind of puncher.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wasn't that kind of puncher. And to me, Jennings wasn't really confident until he found out Vladimir wasn't going to take the action to him.
Yes.
You know, then he found out Vladimir wasn't going to really step to him. He started getting relaxed. But my thinking was that Vladimir should have pressed the action with a double jab, nothing fancy. Just used his movement in a good double stiff jab, and line up the right hand and take him out of there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ortiz was able to get Jennings out of there because Ortiz wasn't playing with him. He stepped right to him, put the pressure on him, got him out of there. Jennings is an all-right fighter, but he's not in the class of Vladimir Klitschko.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that by them just sitting there, patting with the jab, you know, just boxing him, they allowed Jennings to get comfortable. And I'm saying, you don't let a guy like Jennings get comfortable, because if you let a guy like Jennings get comfortable, then he can make the fight ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what he did.
That's what I was trying to say. And my point is that when you're fighting a legend, regardless of anything, you can't pay the legend too much respect, because that's how you become a legend. So you need to turn it up. Teddy Atlas said the fight, he should have stepped it. You should have been like a Ferrari. You should put the gas on and make that old guy test them old tanks, start a hard, fast pressure. Eventually, like Chavez and De La Hoya, that kind of thing. And I feel like in the corner, going out into the 5th round, they still was paying him respect, even though they knocked the man down twice. Now, I'm not saying it was hurt, but I'm trying to say, so they're paying him. At that point, Dillian needs to be switched on, like you said, and go for it. Like, no, when I mean go for it, I don't mean randomly run out. I mean behind Jonathan Banks, an educated jab, tight, and then go for it and just stand with him and pull it on him, because at that point he's.
Well, I thought the fight was too slow paced anyway.
Yeah, but
I think that Dillian should have started fast.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, all right, I'm moving on. There you go.
Make those old legs, and that old blade, make them work overtime.
That's what Teddy Atlas said. That's what Jonathan Banks said. Go ahead.
You go out there and fight him like you've been when Dillian came in the fight for the 1st round. It should have been like it was the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
He should have warmed up good in the locker room and said, "Okay, when the bell rings, I'm going to act like I'm going into the 5th, 6th round." They turned it up the pace.
Yeah.
But obviously they didn't do that.
That's the lack of experience in the corner, you saying?
Well, it could be a combination of things, you know. It could be a combination of things. It could be that the boxer wanted it that way, and that the trainer was just okay. But in my opinion, there can't be 2 bosses in the corner. It can only be one boss. And that boss should be the guy that's giving the information. The guy that's giving the information is the trainer. He's going to say, "Look, this is what I want you to do. I want you to get out there and do this, that, or the other, and you have to step on it." Mm-hmm. The boxer has to embrace what the trainer says and say, "Okay, I'm going to go do it." If the boxer doesn't believe in that trainer, then the trainer shouldn't be in that corner.
100%, man.
You know, I talk stuff over. I believe that the trainers have to listen to the boxers, because the boxers are the ones that's going out there doing it. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, if you make a conclusion with you and the boxing trainer makes a conclusion and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and stick to the game plan. You know, you can't just change stuff around in the fight. That Dillian got caught with a punch that he wasn't expecting. That's why he got hurt so bad.
Yeah, bad, real bad. That knockout was like AJ. It was worse. He was out when he landed. People complaining now. I want to hear your opinion that the count was too far. They should at least give him an 8 count to let him recover. They felt like what's your take?
Who said they should give him an 8 count?
I heard some David Hayes said the same thing. He said they counted, the count was too fast. He was complaining. David Hayes said that you know, they didn't do that with they did it with Tyson Fury against.
Did he see how he hit the floor?
I know. I said that. So I said the same thing. And his neck was on the.
No, he wasn't. I don't care. They could have counted to 20. He wasn't getting up.
That's what I thought. That's how I saw it.
If they didn't lift him up and turn him over, he would have been on his back the whole time.
I agree with you, man. I ain't playing around.
You know,
yeah.
They could have counted to 20. The way he went down, he was out.
Yeah, I mean,
the way he hit that floor, he was out.
100%.
There was no coming back from that. The guy just gave him a half jab, dipped over, and turned the left uppercut. And Dillian Whyte was not expecting that punch to come from that angle at that time.
Brutal. I mean, when you saw you've been around Dillian. You know Dillian. You've disagreed with Dillian. In certain situations. When you saw a guy that you've known, did you feel to reach out? Do you feel to they say? Because the thing is, did you feel to reach out to him? And what's going through your mind? Because you do know Dillian. He's been in camp for you a lot of time with Academy.
I should let some time go past. He doesn't want to hear from nobody at this time. At this particular time, he doesn't want to hear from anybody.
Well, Banks called him.
Huh?
Yeah, Jonathan Banks called him and stuff like that. They had a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they said they had a conversation and stuff like that. Because I hope you're all right, man. You know what I'm saying? So, he cares about it. But I agree with you. Dillian, he's quite hard-headed. It's not easy. It's not easy, But go on.
Yeah, I'd give it a little time, I'll reach out for him later on.
Yeah. See how you do it.
But it's just another day at the gym, just another day in boxing,
Yeah. Not talking about another day of boxing. How are you in your health? And I'm hearing you and Glad Serenko is teamed up with Alexander Usyk going forward. Is that correct?
Well, there are some people who think that he aligned himself with Usyk. I don't know what the deal is as of yet. I don't know. But it's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a decision. But I'll have to speak to Vlad about that. I wasn't present for the last fight. I was here in the States doing some medical work.
Yeah.
And this COVID thing, threw the schedule off a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll speak to Vlad, and he'll let me know what it is.
So in terms of recovery, do you feel like you can train again, or you're not eligible to train again? What's going on with you?
I think that I can do it again. I think that I can do it again.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. I think that I can overcome, and I can do it again.
Yeah. So what kind of things what will stop you? Is the brain on the brain gone, and what kind of things
Well, so far my test in my brain is coming along. Everything in my brain is all right now.
Mm.
But I haven't got a clearance yet.
Oh yeah.
Once I get a clearance from the doctors and say, look, it's all right for me to fly, it's all right for me to be in the gym and be active like that, then I'll step it up.
Oh man, I bet you can't wait for that day, man. You missed that, right?
I feel like I'm at that point now where I can come back. It's been nearly a year now.
Yeah.
And I've rested. I've done a lot of resting. I've done a lot of therapy,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that I can come back.
Yo, that's good to hear.
Now, are there any lateral effects? I don't know. Yeah. But right now, I feel pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. So, what do you think about Usyk versus Derek Zazordin? How do you think that? Because I ain't gonna lie to you. People been talking about that fight, right? And I'm like, yo, that's not even a match, man. Like, yo, I don't know why people, because they saying, oh, Usyk didn't look good against Thingy, what's his name, Thingy, the other heavyweight. And I was like, but Usyk's gonna slap him around, man. Like, Derek Zazordin is too flat-footed for Usyk. Usyk and is gonna play with him. Like, what's your take on that fight?
I think that Usyk outpoints Derek. But having said that, Derek Zazordin he's gonna fight his ass in this fight. He's gonna fight his ass off. He's gonna be ready to fight.
He's gonna be hitting ghosts.
You know, I don't underestimate Derek Zazordin at any point. I think that Usyk is too quick. I think he's too awkward.
Yeah.
I think they're coming from southpaw stance. That he's gonna outpoint Derek. But having said that, Derek Zazordin is an enigma. You know, he'll come up and he'll fight. You know, I'm just anxious to see the fight. Yeah. But I think that Usyk is going to be too quick for him, too awkward, too quick for him.
Yeah, that's what I think, man. I just don't see anyhow, man. Derek Zazordin, I just don't see anyhow in terms of the skill set of Usyk bringing. People talking, I think they're talking of how they think it's going to be entertaining, but I'm like, yo, it's night and day levels, man. You know what I'm saying? Derek he needs you to be in front of him at this point. His legs ain't. If Usyk comes how you had him, he moves, then it's going to be easy for him. Like, it's going to be so easy because he can move in and out, you know, do what he wants. So, you know, that fight. Did you see the Cecilia Braca's fight when she lost against McAllister? You see that fight?
Who?
Cecilia Braca's, the woman, the undisputed welterweight champion.
I saw that.
Yeah, what do you think of her losing her belts, man?
She didn't look the sharpest, but she didn't look bad, you know.
Yeah.
The other girl, the young lady, she wanted it more.
Yeah.
She was really fighting. She made an impression on the judges that I wanted the most. And then it's time for Cecilia to pass the torch.
100%.
And that girl was fighting like that. She was fighting to let the judges know that I want this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Cecilia been out there a long time. She did a good job. You know, she did a good job. She had a sparkling record. That's her first loss in 11, 12 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did a good job, you know. She did a good job. She should be commended for that. She did a good job, and I respect her, you know. Yeah. I respect her ability. She did a good job.
Yeah, that was a good job, man. Going back to my man. Go ahead. No,
I think Cecilia should step down now. I don't think she has anything else to prove.
Yeah. I think she said she's handing it over. I think that's how she's going. I mean, she left Jonathan Banks. I talked to Jonathan Banks about it, and you know, she got with Abel Sanchez, and I was like, Abel Sanchez, that guy don't think about no defense. He just thinks all offense, and you know what I'm saying? They underestimated this girl, bro. She was out. She was on it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, 10 rounds she took the undisputed welterweight championship that she's worked so hard for. Women's boxing, and you know, you dabbled in women's boxing. Oh, he's gone. I was gonna say to him, man, because I have a house check. I'll call him back. Oh, I'll call him back. Let me call him back. Reader. I think he might have pressed the button or something like that. Yo, what's up, YG? Yeah, Mr. Bashir. Yeah. How's Ivan Hajik? What's going on with her?
Who?
Havana. Is that Havana? Your woman.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't spoken to her about her plans. I spoke to her a couple of times over the phone, but I haven't spoken to her about her plans. You know, I did tell her that I didn't think that the best Ivana showed up for that fight. I don't think that she put her best foot forward. There's a lot of things that was left to be desired in her actions. You know, I told her that. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're on the top shelf like that, you got to perform. You know, and I don't think that she came in the ring that night.
Yeah, there was a lot.
You know, I told her.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in her mind, and you know, in regards to you and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Of course. But that's what the true professional does. The true professional rises above that and still does the job.
Yeah.
I'm sure all that stuff was planned in her mind, and stuff that happened way weigh in, the stuff having a new trainer there in front of us. But the true professional has got to be able to overcome that and still get the job done.
That's one thing I remember about. Even in the amateur, people say everyone's got a plan to get punched, but when you get down, that's when you stick to the game plan even more, or you go for it. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You know me. I train amateur fighters now, and a lot of wisdom you've told me, especially about southpaw. I've took on it. I really embraced the underdog mentality that you showed me. That when we go to a home away show, that the referee ain't your friend. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't try and put my fighter in no comfortable situation. I tell my fighter, well, you'd say that you listen. The referee ain't your friend. There ain't none of these crowd that come to see you. They come to see your ass getting handed to you. You need to come out there and bring it. So you understand what I'm saying to you, man? And you put that mentality and fire up your fire's ass. So when he comes out that bell, he at least he gonna win the first couple of 2 rounds at least before he starts fading. Because he gonna fade. I know he gonna fade in the last. I know he probably faded in the last round, but for the first 2 rounds, he got the guy's respect and he come to fight. Because if you don't, then the other guy's gonna do, and we're gonna be in for a long ass whipping for the whole night, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I really embraced the mentality that you bring. And like I said to you, when you said to me about the Jonathan, not Jonathan back, when you said about the Vladimir Klitschko fight against the thingy, what's his name again? Brian Jennings, right? I didn't understand only as a trainer that I understand exactly what you meant now, because you gotta see Vladimir is up here and you're letting this guy get credit. Okay, he called that. He must got connection problem. Don't worry about it. You guys are listening. Some real in-depth boxing knowledge. With Mr. James. Yeah, you only when because Vladimir is up there and he's a legend, you're letting this guy make some money off your name. You know what I'm saying? I went the distance with the champ. So, and you ain't trying to give none of these guys no shine off your guy. I can see that. I can understand what you mean now. I really do. Only now, like years later, I didn't really understand at the time, but I understand what you meant now. That
I mean, the people now in boxing, like I said, these are people are fly-by-nighters. They take the obvious things and say this is how to do it, but that's not always the truth. They take the obvious things and say, you hook off the jab, old stuff. But applications change, You hook off the jab off the hook, These guys don't understand the whole of it, I paid to be where I'm at. I was with a lot of trainers coming up. I worked with a lot of different trainers, a lot of insight, and I collected that insight and I listened, and I grew with every year. And that's what boxers don't do now. Boxers don't do that now. They go out there and they take stuff for granted, I think that Dillian Whyte emotionally just looked like he was displaced in the fight. Looked like he was just, because he had, Dillian Whyte did a lot of things. He had been the #1 contender for so long. He fought everybody that they asked him to fight, and now they're going to come up with another guy for him to fight. So it looked like he was just there, man, what do I got to do to get a title shot?
That was a voluntary, though. He chose that guy because he old. He didn't have to fight that guy. He just wanted to keep busy. So he chose that guy. He didn't look good in front of Hunter, so he chose that fight. That's why there's a rematch clause. Because if you're #1 contender, you knocked off, you shouldn't get it. So that was a voluntary. So even though that's been put out there, really and truly, you didn't need to fight that guy.
If I was Dillian Whyte, I would just let that pass the night. I would go back to the drawing board. I'd take 2 fights and get back into the rankings. 2 fights and he'll be back. But he wants to go back out there, and he wants to go back out there and try to fight Povetkin again. Not a good idea.
All right,
that could backfire on him.
Yeah, when Lennox Lewis lost against Hassan Ratman, he had no choice but to get his belts back, though. But you'd agree to that one. But this is a similar situation. If he goes back in the shuffle, then he don't know when he's gonna get another title shot. But then you're trying to say in terms of building him back, you're talking about building him back.
I don't think it's good for him to go back and fight Povetkin again.
Povetkin again. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
I don't think so. Yeah, because I mean, you know, what did you say? The fight is set for November.
December. We're in.
Well, you know,
we're in
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
We're in the August right now. He said take 2 weeks off. I talked to the trainer and said we take 2 weeks off. We're going back down to Portugal, you know. And I'm like, you know, if I had the appointment, I'd bring you in and I'd bring Jonathan Banks in. Now you say, yo, look, how much you gonna pay me? I'll make sure your money's right and I'll bring you in because I know I'm gonna listen to you, your wisdom. You're gonna say, look, Coach EJ, this is what you need to get. You know what I'm trying to say? And boom, 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 boom. Because when
boxers today don't think like that. You know, boxers today say, look, I got an amateur pedigree. I've been the champion for so many years. I don't need, you know, a special trainer. I can bring in Mickey Mouse cousin, and with my knowledge, you know, and with Mickey Mouse holding the pads, I can get it done. That's how boxers think today. You know, they're thinking about money.
Yeah.
They're thinking about money.
Yeah, well, the money's gonna be more in the rematch. Definitely gonna get more in the rematch and more attention. But at the same time, Jonathan Banks, what's the point of money? I'm thinking about the fighter and the fighter's health and all that. I'm not thinking about the man. What he said, I'm thinking about the man first, not thinking about the fight. The fighters always want to fight, but you have to save the man. The man got that knockdown was bad, bro. He was out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's bad, bro. That knockout was ain't that one of the worst knockouts you ever seen? I mean, you was there when
that's one of the worst knockouts I've ever seen. Yeah.
I mean, you was there when Vladimir gave I think it was a left hook to Pulev, right? That was a good look.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah.
But this one was bad. This one was bad, man. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think that Pulev is going to beat Anthony Joshua.
You don't think Pulev can beat Anthony? You don't think Pulev?
No.
No, go on.
Nope, I think Joshua beat.
You got Joshua beating him?
Yeah, I think Joshua beats him. I don't see Pulev beating Joshua.
Well, they think Joshua's fragile now because of what happened with Ruiz.
Yeah, well, I think they make a mistake. I think Joshua's gonna whoop Pulev's ass.
Hey, what you say? Inside 12? Because hey, listen, you know I got money on Dillian, right? I bet money on Dillian to get knocked out. I put money on Pulev to knock him out because all the mess. Because like you said, with the training camp and you know the mindset. You see, Dillian, they came in with the matching tracksuit. The you know, Pulev, Povetkin came in with a tracksuit, and Dillian's team they had the same tracksuit. You know, and also on the flight there was arguments with the coach. They were going backwards and forwards, calling each other names. The Dillian and the coach, they were having a dispute backwards and forwards, arguing backwards and forwards. Dillian was saying to him, the coach said to Dillian that he's scared of flying. And then Dillian said, you're scared of flying. Dillian said, if I'm going to film you, if you start crying, I'm going to film you. And then the coach said something to him. He said something back. And that was on the Instagram. You, as a coach, would you have that backwards and forwards with your fighter?
No, I don't do anything like that. I don't play those kind of games, especially in preparation for a fight.
Yeah, you wouldn't have because Dillian was filming the coach saying these sort of things, and it was on Instagram. It was on Instagram story. He deleted it. Voss deleted it, but when they landed the plane, next, you know, they brought in James Caldwell. So, yeah, I mean, it just felt like it wasn't meant to be that night. It wasn't meant to be, you know. So.
Well, you can't play games going into a championship fight.
Yeah.
And that was a championship fight.
Yeah.
That's as much a championship fight as you're going to get. It's all business. You know, laugh, skin, and grin later on, but going into the fight, it's all business.
How serious are you going into that situation? Like, what's your mindset? Like, how intense is it going into that situation? Give us.
Hey, I'm thinking that it's a world title. You know, I'm going back in. I'm going in with the same intensity that I'm going in for the world title.
Wow. So
this guy's a former gold medalist, former world champion, and he's a top fighter. I don't care how old he is; he still has that mind, and he still has that desire. You know, So I knew that it was going to be a tough fight. And that's how I was looking. It was a tough fight.
Yeah, he seemed like he's been over here feasting on UK fighters for a while. Joshua put a stop to that, but he looked like he over here feasting on the UK guys. He beat David Price pretty badly. Boy, it was bad. And now he's done that to Dillian Whyte. So and I think he beat Huey Fury as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, he beat Huey Fury. Yeah, he chased Huey all around the ring.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Bashir, let's go back to Tyson Fury, Vladimir Klitschko fight. Going into that fight now, I know that they made a big fuss about the mats and stuff like that. What do you think Vladimir, now, obviously this is after the fact, Vladimir should have did anything different in that fight?
Say that again?
What would you think you would change, yeah? If you had time, go back, the Vladimir and Tyson Fury fight, what do you think you needed to change in that fight for Vladimir to retain his belts? Because obviously it's, past tense. But
well, it seems to me that Vladimir was trying to be too correct. With a guy like Fury, you got to just fight. You got to fight. You can't go out there trying to be a cutie pie and, tit for tat. You got to go out there, cut the ring off, and fight.
Okay.
That would have been my instruction because he's a tall guy. But Vladimir is relatively tall himself, and he's powerful. Vladimir Klitschko was a powerful guy with the left hook, with the right hand, with the jab. He's a powerful guy. So I would have to cut the ring off and fight. Don't try to be proper. Don't try to be correct. Go out there and fight.
All right. So
go ahead. When he went out there and fought, what was it, the 11th, 12th round? Things started changing. But it was too late.
Yeah, he did. He started fighting. He did. He really put in pressure on. I remember that. Tyson was having trouble that time. He was on his back foot, innit? Yeah, it was too late. The rounds were already going past. So what do you think Deontay Wilder should do against Tyson Fury in this fight here? What do you think he needs to do?
He needs to establish a good, respected jab. And I don't know if he can do that yet because he's based his whole career on his right hand only.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't have nothing to do Deontay to do anything fancy. Just get in there with good jabs to the body, to the head, and make a way to land the right hand. Nothing fancy. I wouldn't try to teach him nothing fancy now. Obviously, he's not used to doing fancy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they got to do something different to win that fight.
Well, I think Jonathan Banks was saying when he had, I think it was Vladimir, or was it Lennox Lewis when he's fighting, he said, if you miss with the right hand, throw a jab, and that way you can get yourself out of the trouble, as you come back. So if you throw the right hand like you're doing, then maybe you should throw a double jab to get himself out. And then that's how you can give yourself a bit of space.
Well, my thinking is not, and I teach my boxers the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That when you double your jab, you finish with a jab. When you start with a jab, you finish with a jab. You throw a right hand, you finish with the double jab. You throw a left hook, you finish with the double jab. You throw the right uppercut, you finish with the double jab. Your jab is a cleanup. If the right hand, the right uppercut miss, or the overhand right miss, you always got that left hand to bring your balance back to correctness. So you're throwing overhand right, the overhand right don't work, you get back on your jab. That jab cleans up any kind of mess that you left behind.
Yeah. But that's what Jonathan Mack, that was the strategy he was saying when they fought Povetkin, but there was two different, I think he had three different strategies. They were boxing him, and then they said when Povetkin starts coming in, then we start getting rough. And I like the idea you had, like, he was saying he had multiple strategies for Povetkin, and they kept going over the game plan because there's I think this is what I think, right? And this is what I think they went wrong. I don't think there was in-ring adjustments. I think there was one game plan, and that's with Dillian, that's what it was. You know what I mean? Where you have in-ring adjustments. If this guy changes into something else, we're ready to go for that, right?
I think after those two knockdowns, I would have Dillian perked him up in the corner. You just got two knockdowns. Get out there, get moving, get some pep in your step. Get on that jab, you know what I'm saying? Get on that jab, double, triple your jab. Start bouncing. Make him think that something's coming down the pike, even if there's nothing coming down the pike. You got to make them think, hey, strategy is part of the science of boxing. Get up off the stool, look alive, look like you're going to do something, even if you don't do nothing. You understand? Step to the guy with some liveliness in you. You go out there dragging and moving around. You just knock the guy down twice. You know what I'm saying? So you got him thinking that, damn, I just went on the floor twice. What is he getting ready to do now? But if you come out there dragging your ass and, just moseying along, saying, I'm just minding my business, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
He's going to start thinking about what he's going to do to you.
Yeah, that was the mindset, in my opinion. That's what they're thinking about, what he's going to do to you. Just had that overly giving the guy way, way, way too much respect.
And they're talking about giving him an 8 count. The guy was knocked out. You see, I hit that floor. He was out.
So you still thinking about what David Hayes said?
even if they gave him an 8 count, even if he had beat the count, what was he going to do? He's going to get hurt.
Yeah, that's why. It's not like he got hit down and he can take a knee. You know what I'm saying? He got. He
couldn't. He didn't play the count. Even if he had cleared the count, he still was in jeopardy of being seriously hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. You can't push past the obvious signs. Again, something that only a seasoned trainer is going to observe. Most trainers in today's boxing don't observe those signs. I ain't pointing the finger at nobody. But I am saying that some of the tragedy that happens in boxing happens because people that are in those corners don't know the signs that somebody is about to be hurt or somebody is about to be killed. A lot of people don't know the signs. Me, I'm the kind of guy that I'd rather stop the fight and let the people say I'll stop the fight too soon and be the guy that just say to stop the fight too late. If the Bashir stop the fight too soon, I can live with that. But I can't live with the fact that I stopped the fight too late. If I stop it too soon, then he lives to box another day. If I stop it too late, game over.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, I remember he was in what's his name again, Monty Barrett's corner against the Valleywith and stuff like that. And, and broadcasters they were happy. I mean, I watched that fight. That was hard, man. He was too. I was hard. He was too. The fight would never. It was horrible, man. I'm glad you came in that ring and stopped that thing. That referee wasn't gonna do that. He won't get that kid.
I stopped it not because Valjev was hurting him. I stopped him to prevent him from hurting him.
Yeah.
He wasn't hurt. He wasn't hurting Monty. Monty was tired. Monty was very tired, and I knew he was tired. Mm-hmm. And I was really angry with myself that I didn't stop it 2 rounds before I did.
Yeah.
I wanted to stop it 2 rounds before I did, but mine's in the corner saying, "Well, let it go another round." Instead of me using my own mind.
Oh, who was the head coach? You was the head coach, though, right? You was the head coach.
I was the head coach.
Who was your second?
But I had other people in the corner pull my pants leg and pat me on the back. Hey, man, let him go another round. He's gonna be all right, And I let them sway my thinking, and I'm angry about that. I'm angry about that to this day. I should have told him to stay out of this here and let me do what I gotta do. Yeah. I shouldn't have stopped the fight 2 rounds before I did.
Yeah. I mean, that does play on your mind, because you could have saved. Yeah, you're trying to save the kid's career. You know what I'm saying?
Not just his career, trying to save his life. Because when you tie it like that, and you get hit with a shot from a big guy like Valjev, it can kill a guy. Yeah,
Valjev. Yeah, definitely, 100%. 100%, man. That was some serious stuff there, boy. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been watching a lot of fight footage of them old guys. Yeah, I think people don't really understand. Yeah, I was talking about, and this is obvious off subject. Archie Moore, right? So Archie Moore, we've got the most knockouts in boxing history. I was watching Archie Moore. What he used to do in that crab defense, he used to tire out finals, and then when he tired them out, then he used to open up. So when they used to throw hard punches, he used to roll, come back in that show, and then he's hit them. But what really bothered me, what they did to Archie Moore when he fought Rocky Mirzana, there was a heavyweight contender. I can't remember. It was a Cuban guy, 6 foot something, big guy. I think he was #1 contender. They made Archie go up to heavyweight to fight him, and then they told him to come back down to light heavyweight, defend it against Bobo Orson. And then they told him to go all the way back up to fight Rocky. But then he's losing weight, gaining weight. And even doing that, he still dropped Rocky. And then Rocky realized, yo, if this guy did that and after what we made him do, then he said, yo, I'm out of the game. Like, I know Rocky beat him, but...
Can you imagine that there? And I always get flack about the things I say about Rocky Marciano.
Yeah.
A guy that I respect very much. I respect Rocky Marciano very much. But I call it spade a spade.
Mm.
Rocky Marciano was a cruiserweight, a little cruiserweight.
Yeah.
And he wasn't that effective with guys. I mean, you take a guy like a Kawi. Kawi would have gave Rocky Marciano fits.
Oh yeah, he would.
Because Kawi could punch, he could box, he had a chin, he had heart. He had a lot of things working for him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Marciano was a rugged, tough puncher.
Mm.
But as you said, Archie Moore had him down. Archie Moore had him down.
Yeah.
Had him in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an old, beat up Archie Moore.
Yeah, but he after 10 years after that, he went against Ivan Durrell, got knocked down 3 times and busted up Ivan Durrell. I mean, this guy is a legend. I mean, I don't think people understand, that what certain fighters went through. And then when you mention that, I mean, I listened to the interview that Archie had. I don't know what these guys want me to do. They want me to go up here, go back down again. I mean, why do they want me to do this and that? And then the man said to him, Archie, he said, well, Archie, man, there's a lot of money. And Archie goes, oh, yeah, it's true. We want that money. So Archie did. But this is the sort of thing they were doing to the defend his light heavyweight title, go back up. But Boba Orson, they knew he was going up to fight. They wanted him to knock off the #1 contender, which is the Cuban guy, for him to even get a shot. And then he had to go back to defend his light heavyweight title against Boba Orson. Boba Orson beat Joey Maxson, knocked him out because Joey Maxson was they're all trying to get a shot at Archie. And I was thinking, bro, they made this man do all these things, and it's why Rocky Masters is sitting there waiting for him. You know what I'm saying? It's
right.
How's he supposed to win the fight? And then Rocky, you can see, I was looking at his style. It was like Joe Louis. His style was really like Joe Louis. It's actually the same kind of throw the punches, follow through. The only thing he didn't have is a good jab, but he fortunately fought similar to Joe Louis, But it's just, I just look at some of the old timers. They went through some stuff, man. They went through some real hardship. To get
they did.
Man. And I don't think people can reach it because
I saw something on Facebook a couple of days ago and said that our title's easier to win now as opposed to then. I said, this is a no-brainer, Of course, the titles are easier to win now as opposed to then.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I mean, Adrian Broner is a 4-division champion.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who he beat for those titles.
I remember, but there was a really big name. Remember DeMarco, the lightweight, and then he beat Paulie. He beat Antonio DeMarco and Paulie Malignaggi. For the lightweight, he beat Antonio DeMarco, and for the lightweight, for the welterweight, he beat Paulie Malignaggi. But listen, I got one for you, right? So Cecilia Brackett, they said if she beat that girl McAllis, they said she would have beat Joe Louis's record of 25 defenses. I went crazy. I said, how in the effort is she gonna beat Joe Louis's record of 25 title defenses when she fighting 2 minutes around and she fighting 10 rounds when Joe Louis done 53 minutes 15 rounds. How you gonna beat that? Like, ain't no one ever gonna beat that record. Like, but they were doing that, and I was so irate. I was like, why is she? How you gonna compare women to men like that? And they were pushing that on the build up, and you know what I mean. And every time they do that, You know what I'm saying? Like he keeps falling short, but it was it was frustrating, and there's no one to check. There's no one to check these commentators when they say that rubbish. You know, your school of thought used to protect the old timers, but all the old timers are dead. So you have these people. These people don't respect boxing, man.
Yeah, you got 2 minute rounds, 10 rounds, and then you come out 15 minutes, 15 rounds, 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Yeah. How are you gonna beat Joe Lewis's record when no one does 15 minutes, done 15 rounds?
You're right. You have a very solid.
Well, they said Vladimir was going to beat his record as well, and Vladimir was going to beat Joe Lewis's of 25 defenses, but there was only one belt he missed out, but he was considered a guy. And then I think he lost to Tyson Fury. They said he was going to beat his record as well of 25 defenses. Even though he lost his reign at the time, it wasn't consistent because his brother had the WBC belt. They were going to say, and then he lost to Tyson Fury. So, but I don't think that record is untouchable unless you bring back 15 rounds and then you dominate for. I think it was like 12 years, 25 defenses. That's that you ain't touching that record, man. that's some serious mind power and serious staying power. I mean, that's incredible. That is, and also what Henry Armstrong did the other day. I mean, lightweight, welterweight, welterweight. What was it? Lightweight, featherweight. Sorry, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. And then he went for the middleweight. I mean, that's madness, bro. You know, so I think the old timers yourself. I mean, when you were studying the game, did you ever think you'd be that old sage coach that you've turned into? Because that's what you are to me and Ingram's.
I started to see it just like training amateur boxers in the gym. I never planned to be a professional trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I was attracted to the sport, obviously. One thing led to another thing, and then I was asked and introduced to the Saad Muhammad's training camp, and I was asked to come into his camp and train fighters, you know, inside his camp, and that's what it all started. But I didn't plan to become a boxing trainer. It's just something that just happened on me.
Well, boy,
you know,
you was around Matthew Monks. See, I don't think people know about him. Like Matthew. Them fights in the Philadelphia Spectrum with Matthew Saad Muhammad. He was all action fighter, man. He was must watch TV. Matthew Saad Muhammad. I mean, I just
he was a special fighter. He's special.
Yeah, man.
Many of the fighters of that time were very special fighters because they fought the fights that the fans wanted to see. It wasn't all this haggling and, you know, people taking 5 years to fight, you know, like Mayweather, Pacquiao, you know, Thurman and this guy, you know, it takes a long time for these guys to fight now. Look at Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
Devin Haney.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of those guys in that division. Now, look how long it's taking these guys to fight. Now, finally, Lomachenko and Lopez will get ready to fight.
Yeah, how you see that? I think Lopez gonna get his ass handed to him. That's what I think. Shit.
That's what I think he is too. People keep saying how hard Lopez hit, how strong he is, how big and strong he is. But I think he's gonna get his ass handed to him.
He's too inexperienced, man. He's too inexperienced.
You know, they don't have no respect for that. They just think that he's big and strong and that he's gonna knock Lomachenko out. But I don't think so. I think he's gonna get his ass handed to him. You know,
bad.
But you got those guys, Devin Haney. You got Tank Davis. What's the other kid?
With Derek
the kid that got the Golden Boy. The Golden Boy.
Oh, you talking about Garcia, Ryan Garcia?
Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
Whom I like Ryan Garcia because Ryan Garcia seems to be the only one that's willing to fight everybody. See, Ryan Garcia wants to fight everybody. You know, but you know, I understand it's business, but at the same time, people suffer. The fans are the ones that suffer. So, unlike the days of Matthew Saad Muhammad, Eddie Mustafa, Richie Cates, Yaki Lopez, Murray Sutherland. Those guys was crisscrossing the globe. They were fighting each other. They were fighting tough fights because nobody was trying to avoid the other person. Don King is the greatest promoter of all times. He's the greatest promoter of all time because Don King put together the fights that the people wanted to see. He put together those fights. He said, you fight him, and you fight him, and you fight him, and everybody got their satisfaction. So Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, this other kid that I just mentioned, Devin Haney.
Devin Haney, yeah.
And all of Leo Santa Cruz and all those guys need to fight each other. It takes year in, year out, year in, year out, because they're angling to make the most money for their services. But at the meantime, the fans are the ones that are suffering. They want to see fights, man. The last couple of fights I see fights where you know who's going to win. You understand? Sean Porter fought the fight last night.
Yeah, I ain't watched that fight. I knew that wasn't even competitive. He was just trying a warm-up fight. I ain't trying to watch that fight. He beat that.
And then I see Laura is getting ready to fight a guy just as equally ineffective.
Yeah.
Don't nobody want to pay nobody wants to take time to watch these fights because you know who's going to win.
Yeah. Sometimes you watch it, or sometimes they get their ass whipped, though. But you're right.
Yeah, they might get their ass whipped, but that's far and few in between.
Yeah, they're right.
You want to have some. What's attractive about boxing is that only a few people can do it. Everybody can't do it. That's why the people who pay to see the fights or take the time to watch fights, because they're paying to see, or they're trying to see somebody do something that they can't. That's the attraction.
Yeah, 100%.
Everybody's going to sit down and watch this here because everybody can't take the punishment. Everybody can't work out. Like, everybody can't do all that stuff. Everybody can't hit the speed bag. Everybody can't jump rope, skip rope, and go in there and go 12 rounds. Somebody hitting on and stuff, So people are paying the time to watch people do what they can't do. And nobody wants to have something like Laura is getting ready to fight a guy. And the guy, I don't know who the guy is. I never heard the guy. I never heard of him before. But it's almost certain that Laura is going to win the fight.
100%. I know going to win. Shout out to people in the chat. Shout out to Coach G. Shout out to B Marsh. Shout out to YG, PMC, and Mr. Doc, Triple A, and the rest of you guys, man. Big up to you guys. Kyle Burton and the rest of the guys in the chat. Mr. Bimir, Mr. Bashir catching up on the latest events. Obviously, Dillian Whyte has been knocked out. If you don't know, me and Mr. Bashir talking about the strategy of what's going forward. Mr. Bashir, as category, agreed with Jonathan Banks, who's on this interview as well, that they should not take the rematch straight away. And the welfare of the fighter comes first, and they should think about you trying to rebuild Dillian, because that knockout was devastating. And I have to agree with that sentiment, 100%. And it's so you was talking about coaches paying their dues at this minute. You don't think a lot of coaches are paying their dues? They're in positions that
I know.
Go ahead.
I know a lot of coaches haven't paid their dues. And I see it all over the world. I've been a few places. New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, Sweden, Switzerland, France, Italy, Spain, Germany. I've traveled. I've been a few places, and I've observed. And most of the guys that call themselves being coaches and trainers and what have you, they're just glorified cheerleaders for me.
Yeah, 100%. Because Freddie Roach, he studied under Eddie Fudge, and he always mentioned Eddie Fudge. Obviously, Jonathan Banks, who studied under Manuel Stewart. Who was the guy that you studied under? Was it Bill Miller? Which Pacific? Was it any Pacific? No,
it was a host of them. It could have been 5 or 6 people, over the years. I mean, it took me years to come into my own in this boxing.
So who was the one that you feel at the time was your first high profile coach that you got your wisdom?
I think the first guy that really made the most sense to me was a guy named Frank Shirley. Frank Shirley was the most profound of my teachers. You know, he connected the guy. He connected the dots for me. He showed me the do's and don'ts. Lee Black, Sam Solomon. You know, it was a few guys. Tommy Parks. You know,
Mr. Bashir, let's go back a bit. So to see the first guy you mentioned, yeah, who did he train, and why did you respect him? Because you see, the thing is, a lot of times you've mentioned his names, and I just let them pass. But I'm not going to do today. I'm not going to do that. I want you to, the first guy you mentioned, who did he train? Did well in the pros, and why did you want to train with him? Go ahead.
The first guy was named Frank Shirley.
Yeah, tell us about him.
And Frank Shirley trained me. He taught me the do's and don'ts of boxing. He never trained no big name guys. He was just a guy that knew boxing. And I think to this day, he was the most profound teacher that I had, because he made the most sense to me. Go ahead. Yeah, tell us. He made the most sense to me, you know, about the jab, about hooking off the jab, about the defense, you know, about balance. You know, he told me the most valid things that I had ever heard in boxing. You know, and that's the guy that I paid the most homage to in my life, is Frank Shirley. He was the guy. He was the guy that made the most sense to me. He was the guy that really caught my attention. You know, like a lot of guys don't have a lot of inside knowledge about the sport when it was inside the rooms. But you can have people in the audience, and you're listening off the audience right now, who know more about boxing than the people that's in boxing.
Yeah, I mean, that's where they come. That's where we come here. We come to learn from you. We come to learn from the guy who knows from the guy who learns from the guy. But there's not many guys out there like that. I feel like if social media would happen maybe 20 years earlier, then I probably could have talked to Manuel Stewart. I would have liked to, you know, Freddie. I talked to Freddie Roach at length. I mean, he was surprised how much I knew. But I kind of credit you guys there, because you guys, you know, you bring that knowledge, man. You bring that serious wealth that you give that fire. You go ahead.
I trained Jonathan Banks. I met Jonathan Banks. He was 15 years old.
Oh man, really? Oh man.
Yeah, I trained Jonathan Banks. I trained Jonathan. I worked with him in the gym
with the
as an amateur.
The crump.
And I trained him as a pro. You know, I mean, you know, I'm a few years older than Jonathan. I've been out there a long time. Jonathan was a young kid when I started this, you know. So I spent a lot of time with him, you know, in the Crump gym and abroad, you know. He's a young man, and he got, you know, he's been around for a while now. He's been around Emmanuel, but I've been around a lot of guys even before Emmanuel. Even before I got to Emmanuel, I had worked with some good trainers. You know, I mean, I worked with a lot of good trainers over the years, and I took a page from each one of those trainers. I took a page from their book, and then I formulated my own book.
What did you take from Manuel Stewart specifically?
I took from Emmanuel more so his mindset about strategy as opposed to being a boxing trainer.
Okay, elaborate on that.
I think, in my opinion, that Emmanuel Stewart was a better strategist than he was trainer. He did things from a strategic point to benefit the fighter more so than he did from the trainer's point, in my opinion. You know, he did a lot of valid things, a lot of same things, you know, going into a fight, different strategies. I had a young man in Lennox Lewis camp one time, and Emmanuel came to me. We had just arrived in the camp on on a Saturday evening, and that Tuesday we was going back. And I asked myself, well, why are we leaving? He said, because I don't want the guy that you brought here. I don't want him here. And I said, well, why did you have us come here? He said, because I thought that I could use you. He said, but as it turned out, this guy is no good for my guy's confidence.
Oh, whoa. That's a good one. This guy was no good for your man's confidence. So you trying to say that the guy had brought energy like he was a loser? Or he wasn't confident?
No.
What?
I brought the guy in to box Lennox Lewis.
Okay.
And the guy was giving Lennox such a difficult time with his style. Mm-hmm. He said that he did not want to take Lennox to the fight feeling bad about himself.
Okay.
So here, take this $2,000 and go away. I don't need this guy here. And that was one of the first things, one of the tidbits that he dropped about strategy. You know, he said, don't put your guy in a situation over some sparring where you're going to make the guy depleted in his mentality. I don't need him here. Get out of here. Yeah. So that was very strategic. That was very smart and strategic. It went past boxing. It was into the mind, you know, and he was firm about that. He said, I don't want the guy here. Even though later on he called us back to camp, but for that fight, you know, he didn't keep us there.
Was that Maurice?
Yeah.
Maurice Harris, yeah?
Yeah, he didn't want him there.
Yeah, Maurice was pretty good, bro. He had that fight with Jefferson, Jefferson,
yeah, right? He was a good fighter. Maurice Harris was a good fighter.
Yeah, he was.
Very talented fighter. Very talented fighter.
You was hoping that guy would have took you away to the promised land, but he came across Jefferson, right?
Yeah, he's the best boxer I ever trained. You know, he's the best boxer that I ever trained. Maurice Harris. He's the best boxer that I've ever trained.
Yeah, if you guys don't check out Maurice Harris, he had other fights, but the particular one is him against what's his name again? Thingy Jefferson, isn't it? What's his name again?
Yeah. Derek Jefferson.
Derek Jefferson versus Maurice Harris. That's that fight there. If you want to watch it, like that fight right there, check that. Put that down in your watch list. Go ahead, Mr. Bashir.
And that's Maurice Harris, Sergey Lakovic, Larry Holmes. Oh man, this guy, he can fight. He can fight.
Hey,
he was a gifted guy.
Tell us about Harold Brazier, because I remember that man. I'm telling you that Harold Brazier with over 100 fights. Most people don't even know who Harold Brazier is. But he fought. When I looked at his resume, Roger Mayweather, Parner, Whitaker, he fought who's who over 100 fights. Harold Brazier came to fight, bro. That was your guy. That was your guy, Harold Brazier. That if people don't know how.
Yeah, I had great respect for Harold Brazier. I love the guy because he was what boxing was about, you know.
Yeah.
Today there's a lot of prima donnas, but Harold Brazier, I think, is a guy that's worthy of being in the Hall of Fame because he always came to fight and he never turned down. He didn't turn down nobody. Mm-hmm. You know how much you gonna pay me and where's the fight at? I'll be there. And he came to fight.
Well, he was, man. I mean, I think the last guy is like Manuel Augustus. He like a road warrior. He was on that road. He gave Mayweather a tough time. I think people more or less think of that.
Yeah. Emmanuel Augustus was a tough fighter.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Augustus was a tough guy. He's a tough guy. A lot of courage. A lot of courage, you know. And that's another guy. You know, I pay testimony to those guys. Guys are tough guys. Yeah. I think they're worthy of being in the Hall of Fame, you know. But they only put champions in the Hall of Fame.
It seems like that way. I think the people who are old, who used to be the custodians of these Hall of Fames, they've died out, and it becomes a public thing where they put popular people in there. But Harold Brazier, if people don't know about Harold Brazier, go check him out. And it's the thing when you listen to Mr. Bashir, he gonna bring up some names to you now. You're gonna want some fights, and these ain't no boring fighters. These guys come to put hands on people, bro. Harold Brazier, I was like, yo, that's dude. And also, obviously, we talk about the guy, the light heavyweight. We were talking about Matthew Sard Muhammad. Like, ain't never been no boring fight. That guy come to throw hands, bro, in every fight. In every fight. Either you knocking out, he knock out, or he get up when he knocked down, and he gonna come bring hell. And that's what I was talking about, the mentality I'm talking about with Dillian. Dillian was watching a lot of Povetkin's old fighters. And do you think it's a good idea when you're, as a trainer or whatever, watching a fighter, guys old when he used to be old fighter or his current fights? What's your take? Or do you even watch fight films on the guys you're gonna fight?
Well, so part of my strategy, part of my training technique is to have my guys to watch old films. And when I have them watch old films, it's like mostly from the 90 back. From 90 back, you know, mostly I relegated to the late 50s, you know, like 1950 to 1985.
Yeah.
Those are the fights I like to have my guys to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's essential that, you know, that my guys sit down and watch the film, because telling somebody about a certain fight and then showing somebody a certain fight is different, you know, because when a guy sits down and watches the fight, then he can feed his own mentality. He can feed his own desire. He can say to himself, I can do that. I'd like to try that, as opposed to me telling them that.
Film study.
Yeah, yes, that's the intricate part of my training technique. I believe in that. You know, and I've watched the same videos 100 times or more with this fighter or that fighter or this fighter or that fighter. I've always done it, and I'll do it till I'm dead. I'll always go back to the videos and say, watch this fight and tell me what you think about this fight. Tell me if you can do this or do you can do that. You know, when somebody sees this, it's easier for them to replicate it in their own brain, as opposed to me just telling them, you know.
100%, man. I mean, like I said to you, man, I was watching the other day, even Trinidad. I was watching Trinidad, boy. I was like, Trinidad, well, he was in a very exciting fight. He was it was flawed in some ways, but he was vicious. That Trinidad was, you know, he brought the heat, but you know, Harold Brazer, Matthew Saad Mohammed, Mohammed Koeid, and obviously your good friend over there, what's his name again? Your good friend, what's his name again? Over there from New York. We fought Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. Yeah. Eddie, I didn't realize Eddie had Iron Barkley, man. Iron Barkley was with Eddie for quite a while, man. Iron the Blade. Yo, he's number one, should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why. They should. I think they're gonna lobby try and get him in this year. He should be in. Should be near it. How you gonna beat Hearns twice and you ain't in there? Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
He beat him twice.
Yeah, he beat him twice. He beat him.
Iron Barkley's a dangerous guy.
Yeah. I thought Fink should be in the Hall of Fame as well. What's his name again?
Who?
The guy who knocked out Costa Zoo and then he beat Mickey Ward. They didn't even think about Vince Phillips. Yeah, Vince Phillips.
Yeah, Vince Phillips was a hard punching guy.
Yeah, man. He busted up the Mickey Ward, the one they love, and he busted him up, and then he busted up Costa Zoo. Like, yo, it's like that's like what he beat up Costa Zoo's in the Hall of Fame. And I was like, yo, but he beat Costa Zoo, and he beat Costa Zoo when Costa was a champion. And then he beat Mickey Ward, the one they think is one of the most exciting fighters in the thing. But what, you just gonna forget about this guy? Okay, he lost later on to lost to Ike Cortez, but bro, like that guy Vince Phillips was about it, man. I mean, sometimes I think it's too political these days, but I mean, you're here to remind them of all these old guys. But who would you say your favorite fighter was of all time? That guy? Because I'll be honest with you, I'm looking like Evander Holyfield is one of them dudes there. But who do you think was your favorite?
Oh, Evander Holyfield was definitely a great fighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a great little fighter. You know, he's a tough guy. He had a tough mentality. And I understand that he's trying to make a comeback. You know, he's trying to go back out there. I wouldn't suggest it, but, you know, who am I? But he's definitely one of my all-time favorites. George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, of course, Larry Holmes. You know, it was a couple of guys.
Yeah,
I think that Joe Frazier could have gone further if he hadn't come along with Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. I think he would have had a longer life if it hadn't been for Muhammad Ali and George Foreman.
Yeah, Joe Frazier was good, man. That left hook was the truth. when that left hook hit you, boy, yo, that wake you up out your sleep, man. I remember when he hit Ali in the first fight. Ali was like, yo. That shook him. That left hook woke him up, boy. Like, yo, this is a fight here, man. You know, Ali.
Yeah.
That left hook was the truth, man. Hey, Mr. Bashir, man. All right. So, what's going on with the Glacerenko? So, what's going on with him? You gonna meet up with him? Meet up with him at some point?
We're gonna fight in October. We don't know if the COVID is going to stop us or whether it's going to allow us to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if COVID is going to let us. If COVID lets us work, we're going to work in October.
Hopefully, you sound like you're on the mend. You're definitely on the mend. So we look forward to you, Mr. Bashir, coming back 100%. And you know what? I'm still looking to pick. I still look to pick your brain because you know you be holding on to them jewels for me in the chest. You know what I'm saying? You're
no good. Nobody. Let me say this to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
No mentality, no jewels, no knowledge is so important that I would hold it up from any young man that's going to come from behind me. I don't know whether God is going to call me today or tomorrow or the next day. And what's the sense of me taking it with me? It won't do me no good where I'm going.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what, because listen, you the one who told me how to break down southpaws. And I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Hey, listen, that footage of Eddie Fudge beating Marvin Johnson, that's the classic way of beating a southpaw, man. That was up, man. I mean that stays in my library. Now it ain't going nowhere. So the knowledge you give me, I'm using. I will use it as a thing. And like I think I saw you and Bashir. No, sorry, you and Ingram's, and you was talking about moving your hands before you punch. You know the movement. You know rhythm. Moving your hands and the before you move your hands, so you get a rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Before you throw the punch up. The you and Ingram's was pretty good. You know that was nice. You know that was nice. I mean, you know, Manuel Stewart. I think he had a library of fights in the Crump gym, that library, but he never put them out. He said he was going to put them out on YouTube, but that never actually happened. Of all the sparrings, it still hasn't happened yet. You know, so we got some of them, we didn't get all of them.
Yeah, well, I hope somebody give them up.
I think Banks is. I think Jeff Thingy Hill's got them in it, but he don't want to put them out there like that. You know.
Yeah, Sugar Hill probably got it.
Yeah,
he probably has access to all the manual stuff.
Yeah. He's a good trainer, right?
Yeah. He's been around a long time.
He helped Fury to beat. He put the strategy to beat Fury, to beat Wilder. Yeah. All right, Mr. All right, Mr. Bashir, man. I'm gonna let you go to your bed, man. Yeah, I really appreciate you picking up the phone. And I ain't talked to you for a long while, but hopefully we will talk to you very soon, man. I'm happy to see you on the mend, and your fans and everyone look forward to hearing from you very soon. Thank you for your time, Mr. Bashir.
What time is it over there?
Oh, see, I don't know. Let me see what time is it. 1 second. It's kind of. Let me see.
You act like it's broad daylight over there.
Nah, it's 5:30 in the morning over here. So. But you know, yeah, when it comes to you guys, yeah, like, and the social media, like, I don't sleep, man. You know what I mean? I'm sprung, man. Like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to get early bird to catch the early worm. When it comes to you guys, I gotta meet you guys where you're at. You know what I'm saying? To get that knowledge from you and Jonathan Banks, it's funny because you know when you look at the team that Manuel Stewart put around you, with yourself, Jonathan Banks and the people around him, Manuel and stuff like that, some wealth of knowledge you put around you that makes your fighter get all the knowledge for him to do his thing. You know what I'm saying? So
I was just telling a friend of mine before I spoke to you. I said, listen, my mom used to always say, you could tell the kind of person you're dealing with. It said, how? It said, from the people that he hangs around with.
Yes.
I pointed out that everybody that was close associates to what's his name here? Donald Trump.
Yeah.
All the people he's hanging around with, all have been convicted for felony. So I mean, you know, who is he? I mean, who is that? Who is he? he is who he's dealing, who he's hanging out with.
Yeah.
Everybody that he's hung out with, 6 of his main comrades have been convicted for felony.
Mm-hmm.
You figure that out. A
Yeah.
cabinet full of crooks.
Yeah.
You know, a cabinet full of wicked people. But they think that they're doing something so slick and so fancy, but they don't know that one day when they're going to leave this fight, they still got to answer to God for what they did good and what they did bad. And it seems to me that their bad is outweighing their good. So the hell with them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to cook. They're going to fry. You know, I believe that, you know, we all going to meet our maker one day, and I want to be in good favor. I want to do the right thing about people's lives. You know, you're dealing with people's lives, and now, you know, these people being brought up on felony charges after the fact. But that's another story.
Yeah.
I'll see you next time. I'll see you next time, brother.
Thanks very much, Bashir. You take care.
You're welcome anytime.
Okay, you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.